We are back at the River Acheron, lines 305 to 308. Huc omnis turbad ripase fusa ruebat, matres atque viri defunctaque corpora vita, magnanimorum pueri nuptaeque puellae, impositique rogis juvene santora parentum. To this place, huc. We had hink earlier, from this place. Now this is to this place, huc. Think of a Wayne Hook, come here, come to this place. And then we'll find our subject, which is omnis turba, and efusa also goes with this. So, to this place, the whole crowd, efusa, having been poured out, meaning from every direction. So you got to have this idea that from all directions there's this crowd coming to the bank of the river. To this place, the whole crowd, having been poured out, was rushing, ruebat, ad ripas, that's accusative with the preposition ad, to the banks. And notice that ad ripas, far tells us, just makes more specific the hook that we had earlier. To this place. Well, to what place? To the banks of the river. Everybody's coming up to the river to try to get across, to try to get a ride from Charon. And now we have a list of the people that are in this turba. Matres atque viri, mothers and men. Viri can also be husbands. Matres atque viri, and you got to take that they are ruebat. It'd be ruebant because they're plural, but they're implied in this turba. Mothers and men, were rushing to the banks. Defunctaque corpora vita magnanimum herorum. And the bodies, this is the subject. And what kind of bodies? They're defuncta vita. They are bodies defunct or drained, vita, of life. And if you note Far's Far, he tells you that defuncta takes the ablative. So that's why we have an ablative form here, vita. Bodies defunct of life. And specifically, these bodies are magnanimum herorum. These are genitives. The bodies of great heroes. The bodies of great heroes. And so that goes with that. Mothers and men, and the bodies of great heroes, defunct of life or drained of life. Also note magnanimum, Far has a note on it too, is really magnanimorum. It's an syncopated form, missing that or in the genitive plural. Herorum is also genitive, but it's third declension genitive, so it just gets an ending, whereas magnanimus, which is second declension, in this case we get orum ending. So it's syncopated. Shortened. Puer inuptaeque puellae. Boys and unmarried girls. More subjects here. Boys and unmarried girls. You can tell Vergil's giving us a whole variety of people here that are in this turba. Women, men, bodies of heroes, boys and unmarried girls. And lastly, juvenes, young men, meaning in their prime of life. Young men having been placed, that's a perfect passive participle, having been placed, rogis, on their funeral pyres. That's an ablative, so in rogis is understood here. Having been placed on their funeral pyres antora parentum, before the faces of their parents. And faces is an accusative, plural. here from os, orus. It's neuter in form, so ora is neuter, plural, accusative. And then parentum is genitive of their parents. It's a third declension genitive, just like herorum up there. And so we have a whole variety of people that are in this turba that are coming up to the bank of the river wanting to be ferried across. I'll go ahead and translate the whole thing one last time. To this place, a whole crowd, having been poured out, was rushing to the banks, mothers and men, and bodies of great heroes, deprived of life, boys and unwed girls, and young men, having been placed on the pyres, their funeral pyres, before the faces of their parents. This invokes a lot of pathos here. We've seen this term for ora, before the faces. I think Aeneas said he wished he would have died before the faces of the Trojan fathers, something like that. And there is a certain pathos in seeing people in the prime of their life die before their parents, and their parents having to watch it. Also in Book 2, there was a big deal about Priam having to watch the death of his son. We didn't read all those lines, but it's in there. So, a couple other things just to note before we close here. Remember, this is a perfect passive participle. We have another perfect passive participle up here, efusa, having been poured out from efundo, efundere, efusi, efusus. So keep in mind that's also a perfect passive participle.